And my new favorite, revenue operations, which aligns sales, marketing, and customer success via technology and shared metrics. And then I might have made this one up, but our lawyer tells us it's a thing, which is LegOps, or legal operations, where we maximize a legal team's ability to grow and protect a business through technology and data analytics. So as you can see, this is a consistent trend in and across industries. So the StarOps journey starts close to home for many of us in development. And then we create an overlap with operations so that we can actually ship and operate the products and the systems that we've developed. And of course, we want to keep these systems secure and avoid costly security audits. So we layer in security into our operations and development teams. And in some orgs, operations and security are part of information technology. And we want people to actually use these products and get value out of them. So we need to market them. And we need to align marketing, sales, and success and enable them with technology and data. So how do we choose which ops alignment strategy to use? Who gets left out? In this competitive business landscape, we can't afford silos and lost productivity. We need new ways of collaborating and new tools. So we need StarOps. So the goals of StarOps are relatively simple, and we're looking to reduce the friction associated with doing our jobs and delivering value to our customers and collaborating, and increase the flow of work through our processes and systems. But the ultimate goal of StarOps is the achievement of business goals. And the goal of an organization is not cost reduction or efficiency. It's the achievement of the organization's mission, which for many of us is related to obtaining and retaining happy customers and users, which usually makes for happy bosses, also known as the business. And revenue is usually a pretty good indicator of the number of happy customers you have. So senior director analyst at Gartner and former executive at a number of places, including IBM, had this to say about DevOps, which is that it isn't about automation, just as astronomy isn't all about telescopes. And the same is true of StarOps. So if you were hoping for this to be a hard technical talk about DevOps and automation, it's not. So now or at any time throughout the talk, if you want to go and hear a more technical talk, please feel free. But what StarOps is a philosophy that sets the stage for a culture that puts in place processes for us to be successful. So the first tenet of the StarOps philosophy is that we're all on the same team. The second is Kaizen, which has become to be known in the industry as continuous improvement. And the third is to avoid as much work as possible. So if you work in healthcare, finance, retail, or almost any other industry these days, try to run your business without software or IT. It's extremely difficult, if not impossible. And often in dev and IT, we talk about the business as if it's something other than us. But that's no longer true. There is no dev or IT and the business. There's no us and them. We, the developers and operators of the system, are now the business. And we all play a vital role in the delivery of value to our customers. And big picture, we all share the same goals. We all want the same things. So moving on to Kaizen, actually, I don't know if you can see that, but it literally translates to change for good. And it's critical that we always be continuously improving in order to achieve our missions. And this concept was popularized by Taiichi Ohno, who is considered the father of the Toyota production system, which became lean manufacturing and has had considerable influence on Agile and DevOps. So what it means is that we have to continually analyze what we're doing and remove waste from the process. And waste is anything that does not contribute value. So as an example, as we've moved to a more continuous delivery model, which I'll cover a bit more later in the talk, the generation and publishing of changelogs became just somewhat onerous. We're doing it so frequently. So we took a look at our analytics to determine how much value was that providing, and we realized that a lot of people aren't viewing these change logs. And it's an open source application anyway, so if you really want to know what's going on with the application, you would just go on GitHub, you can look at the master branch, you can look at the PRs. So we eliminated that step of the process. We eliminate waste and allow us to provide further value. But in its most simple and crude form, as I like to say, if something sucks, fix it. So while we, of course, want to, we're all going to work hard, right? We need to work smart. And we need to avoid as much non-value producing work as possible. So we need to continually ask ourselves, what problem are we trying to solve? Does it really require code or automation? Maybe it just needs a bit of documentation or messaging. Does it really need a long-term trained artificial intelligence model? Or maybe it just needs some good old-fashioned human intelligence. So we need to be continuously confirming our assumptions. So once we begin to embrace the StarOps philosophies, we can begin to encourage the StarOps culture, which is one that's based on collaboration, information radiation, risk mitigation, continuous improvement, and mutual respect and empathy. So regarding collaboration, one of the first aspects of StarOps is that you should seek to reduce handoffs through the establishment of cross-functional teams. So we want to bring the people needed to do the work onto the team rather than handing the work over to a separate team. So this is accomplished in Agile through the product owner role. And then we take it further by, rather than having a design team, we bring designers into the product development team. And we encourage real-time collaboration rather than the strict use of comps and UI artifacts. Some other typical handoffs that we see are to QA or a security team. And rather than handing our products off for potentially lengthy manual QA or security testing phases, we bring QA and security onto the team, and we enable them with technology and ideally the ability to code and automate themselves. So at Linode, where customer support, or as we've been hearing from Comcast, customer care, is a big differentiator. We would bring our customer support team into the product development lifecycle through the use of dries and races. Although we implement it a little bit different, or dries that is, rather than the way that Apple has popularized it. At Apple, it is the final accountable decision maker. Whereas at Linode, this is the person that is responsible for sharing the needs and concerns of their part of the organization, and also communicating back to their part of the organization what is going on with that product. So we close gaps and increase communication and collaboration through these techniques. So we also want to radiate as much information as possible. And I'm going to talk about something that we've borrowed from firefighting, which is the multiple alarm fire system. And so in firefighting, the size of the fire sometimes determines how many fire companies are pulled in to help fight the fire. So we have this concept with anything that might be happening. Say it's a release. Depending on the size of the release, the impact to customers, the risk of the release, that's how many alarms we send off. So the first one might be that we make a post in our knowledge base or our intranet or the company blog or newsletter. The second one is often Slack. The third is email. And then, if this is a really important thing, we make sure that we're talking about it verbally in our meetings and in person and one-on-one with people. And then if it's really important, we really want people to know, we happen to, mostly be co-located in a physical space, we actually put signs up. And if you're a virtual team, I'm sure you have other techniques and tools that you can leverage to do this type of information radiation, such as you open up your Kanban boards, open up your repositories to your entire company, and also open up your ceremonies. So your stand-ups, invite people to attend your stand-ups, and definitely your iteration review meetings and demos as well. But really, the core concept here is that people need to know something about what you and your team are doing, the releases and changes that you're making. And that's on you to make sure that they know and that you're radiating that information out to them. We also, with this type of StarOps culture, we want to embrace healthy risk-taking. The biggest risk in this business climate is not shipping or shipping too late. But we need to mitigate those risks. The first way that we do that is through documentation. We don't just sweep risks under the rug. We document them and we expose them publicly so that we can be collaborative in our solutions to those risks. We also work in time boxes so that we can assess, are we at risk of missing our timelines? So every iteration, every 2 weeks, we're reassessing. Do we meet our goals? Do we meet our commitments? Yes, great, we're on track. No, what can we do? Can we bring more people onto the team? Do we need to scale back our commitments or our timelines? And then in addition, and on a more technical note, we want to make use of feature flags and what I call dials. So this can increase our confidence in shipping and shipping early and shipping often, which is that we have a two-way door. We can put code out there in an off state and easily turn it on. But it's not enough for it to just be on or off. We need to be able to incrementally turn it on and increase the amount that it is on. So for instance, we've recently put out a new sign-up system. But it's such a critical business system, we don't just throw it out there and shut down our old system. We incrementally, over time, introduce a few percentage of new users going to this new system. And we watch and we monitor for conversions and errors and a number of other things that I'll touch upon. And as those monitoring metrics and analytics are coming back positively, we continuously increase the amount of traffic to this new system. So another core concept is continuous improvement. So Mike Rother, who is a researcher who's studied the Toyota production system and written about it, and is cited in the DevOps handbook, and I think Phoenix Project as well, says that it almost doesn't matter what you improve as long as you are improving something. Why? Because if you're not improving, entropy guarantees that you're actually getting worse, which ensures that there's no path to zero errors and zero work-related incidents and zero loss. So improving daily work is as important, and you could argue is more important than actually doing daily work, because checklists grow and things get more complicated. So it's important that we always be trying to improve and simplify. So for instance, if your deploys into production are problematic, typical trend might be to say, we're going to scale it back. We're not going to deploy every week. We're going to deploy every 2 weeks. But I say if deploys are problematic, you should do them more. You need to cross-train and, frankly, spread the pain. Because once you bring more people into the mix, that's how you will arrive at better solutions to these problems. But really, we need to reserve the time to make these improvements and to further accelerate our efforts. Otherwise, things are going to get harder and we're going to get slower. So we need to reserve time to pay down our technical debt, to fix our defects, and refactor and improve the problematic areas of our code and environments so that we never have to stop delivering value to our customers. We never have to tell our product managers and our product owners, no, that's not possible. We're going to have to stop and rewrite the whole system. We're doing that incrementally over time. And so finally, the last cultural aspect is respect and empathy for our other teammates and our other departments. There's no throwing things over the walls to our operators or to our customer support staff that's going to have to field the calls. Through cross-functional teams, we blur the lines between departments. And we embrace a culture of you write it, you ship it, you're on call for it. So getting into a bit more of the nuts and bolts and procedural elements, there's so many aspects to this and different ways that you can implement this collaborative continuous improvement process. But I've picked out a few elements of it that we're going to cover today. So we're going to have continual blameless retros. You want to limit your work in progress. You're going to use objectives and key results for goal alignment. We're going to have shared key performance indicators. And we're going to reserve 20% of our time for our non-functional requirements or our ILADs, as I'll talk about in a minute. So I think blameless, retros or just retros in general have become pretty commonplace for, our iterations and our Agile teams. And sometimes the term, post-mortem is used for outages and incidents, but I prefer to embrace the retro concept and style, not just for iterations, and actually not just for outages and incidents, but for practically everything. We're doing them for our hackathons, we're doing them for our hires and our hiring processes as well. And a great technique to use here is the 5 whys, which also came out of Toyota. Which is that you continue to ask why until you get to the root cause. You often don't even have to get to 5, but the first one of, why did the system go down, it's usually not sufficient. And if you peel back the layers, you find more fundamental organizational issues that you can tackle. So we want to limit our work in progress. And, I think many of us have heard CI and CD, but, I think that it's often misunderstood, and the terms have become a bit muddied. I mean, especially in the world of GitHub and where many of these tools are so accessible to us. Most of us are doing, CI to some degree already. But this is the basic concept of, we are frequently using Jenkins or some other build server to test our application. But then we also want to do continuous deployment. So it's not enough to just write your code, ship it to the, run your test, ship it to the dev server. But we want to actually, as frequently as possible, deploy our code into production. And I know it's hard, and I know there are reasons why, in your environment it's not possible, that there are passwords to be entered or Windows servers to wrangle or whatever it may be. Re-architect if you have to, but it's worth it. But the real goals of CI and CD will not be accomplished if you are working on these massive features, massive projects, right? So the real value of CI/CD is derived from working in small pieces, right? We want to break our epics down into stories and our stories into tasks and make these tasks as small as possible so we can have small commits and small PRs. And that'll facilitate and encourage peer review. So there's a great quote from, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but Gire Ozil, who's a video game programmer. He's worked for Electronic Arts, Blizzard, and elsewhere. But as you can see, ask a programmer to review 10 lines, they'll find 10 issues. Ask them to look at 500 lines, and you'll just get a thumbs up, looks good to me. But so the smaller your chunks of code are, the more your peers will be willing and able to engage with them and review them, and the faster you'll be able to ship them. OKRs, or objectives and key results, which is generally attributed to Andy Grove, who introduced the approach at Intel and documented it in his book, High Output Management. And it's been used to great success at companies like Google, LinkedIn, Twitter, Uber, the list goes on. Kleiner Perkins, a VC firm that's funded a lot of these companies, has pushed it at these companies because of how successful it is, or effective it is. And the objectives should be big and aspirational, but the key results should be measurable. And there should be no question whether or not you accomplish the key results. And if the OKR is designed properly, if you accomplish your key results, you have inherently accomplished the objective. So here's an example, and I could probably do a whole other talk just on OKRs. I'm happy to talk about them. But say you want to improve your testing procedures. So you can have some key results to implement test-driven development. And you want to have numbers in your key results so that you can clearly state whether or not you accomplished it. So you want to increase your test coverage by 75% or to 75% and discover at least 100 bugs in your code. While OKRs are great for what you want to do differently in some span of time, a quarter, or what's in some ways more important are the things that you do every day. Just keeping your systems up and running and functioning and providing value to your customers. And so the best way to measure those are through KPIs. And we can have KPIs that relate to our non-functional requirements, or what I'm calling our ILITs here, which are trying to read from the back there. Stability, reliability, availability, maintainability, manageability, scalability, testability, deployability. And we need to reserve time for the improvement of these. And we're actually taking some steps to reserve up to 20% of our cycles for non-functional requirements and reducing technical debt. So we're providing 10% of time to individual team members to pursue the non-functional requirements or personal and professional development that they see fit, and we're providing 10% of cycles to teams to pursue the team objectives as they see. And one way to do this is through what are called Kaizen blitzes, basically like a hackathon where engineers self-organize into teams to work on fixing problems. We're doing this at Linode through something we call Tech Debt Tuesdays, where the last Tuesday of the month is basically like a mini hackathon just on technical debt. So in addition to the ilities, there are also the ities, security and quality. And these things are everyone's job. We need to try to eliminate the assurance of quality or security as a separate phase of work, and instead integrate it into our daily work. We need to embed the functional engineers with these skills, our quality engineers, our security engineers, and our operational people into our product and service teams. Everyone on the team shares these goals, quality, availability, and security, and the responsibility for these should fall to the collective team rather than different teams or different individuals. So in addition to monitoring for our IDs and our ilities, our non-functional requirements, we need to monitor and share in the business goals. So as developers and operators, we should be tuned in to whether it's conversion rates and sales goals, and we need to be maybe even monitor our monitoring and checking our monitors and our metrics from different angles to ensure their accuracy. And keep in mind that you are a part of this system and in the delivery of value. And I think that the best medicine against chaos and against entropy is information. So talk to people. Make sure that other people know what you're working on, and find out what's important to your team members, your leadership, and your customers. So these books were very influential in just my thinking recently, and in this talk as well. And if you have to pick just one, strongly recommend Phoenix Project. It's a great, fun read that will give you a good, firm understanding of some of these basic concepts and get you started, probably down the road into some of these others.